cancer really gifted me with what do I want to do with my life? And I'm really present to 100 years isn't going to give me that if I'm not present to that.
Welcome to Cancer Talks, a podcast sharing stories of personal transformation and collective healing from people who have been touched by cancer. My name is Cheryl Buck, and I will be guiding today's conversation. Our guest, Evangeline Pesca, is a speaker, humanitarian, entrepreneur, and the founder and chief miracle maker of withher.org. Most importantly, she is a beloved mother to 3 amazing young women. I'm really excited you're here, but I'll probably say that again. So
I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I was born in the Philippines, in Angeles City, and my mother was a single mother. My mom had me at 18, and in the Philippines, so she was very young. And my mother has always told me that, hey, I'm going to give you the best life ever, but I have to give you up for adoption. So I came to the United States when I was 11. I was adopted by my mother's eldest sister. And, I grew up here, went to school here, grew up in the California area, got married. I have 3 daughters, so on, right?
Well, let's go back to you were adopted by your mother's sister. And then you somehow made it to California. So I'm assuming you went with your, how do you say that, adopted mom?
Yes. I call both of them mom.
Okay.
There's Mom Joy and there's Mom Daisy. Daisy is my birth mom.
Okay.
And Joy is my adopted mom.
Okay.
I was her Christmas gift. So I actually left the Philippines December 24th and arrived in LAX December 24th.
Wow.
Yeah.
With Mom Joy.
Yes.
And so why fly into California? Well, how did that happen?
So my aunt, my uncle, and my grandmother lives in California, in Fairfield, California. And so at the time, my adopted dad, Tim, was in the military, and they lived in Utah. So it was Christmas, and they wanted us to meet the family. And, I was, like I said, I was the Christmas present. So everybody, they put everybody together to welcome. And then we drove from California, from Fairfield to Utah. Yeah. So.
And then did you stay in the United States?
Yes.
From that point on, you and Mom Joy and...
Yeah, we moved, of course. I mean, we've lived in many places. I landed in Minnesota for my high school years, at the end of it. And I graduated from Rochester, Minnesota, and then came back to California once I graduated. And I lived with my uncle when I came back here in California. And then I got married right away.
Okay.
And I got married at 18,
Wow.
And had my first daughter, Ariana, at 20. And then Gabriella came soon after at 22. And then at 27, I want to say my youngest daughter, Kara. And then in 2008, I want to say I divorced from that marriage. And also got diagnosed with cancer.
Before, during, or after the divorce?
It's quite interesting because a month after the divorce, I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a fun year.
Oh my gosh.
It was a fun year.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What diagnosis did you get?
So I had intestinal cancer, and I had 4 tumors in my intestine. I was at stage 2. I had to do radiation. I did the surgery to remove them. We were able to get the 2 tumors out, and I became what they call a bleeder. And I don't know if I became a bleeder during the process or I was always a bleeder. I'm not 100% sure, but so in the surgery, I was hemorrhaging.
Oh my goodness.
And so then they had to stop with, just the removal of the two. And then we had to do the radiation for the other two. And it was pretty interesting, going through radiation. I started, soon after, like almost immediate, I want to say, within the first week, I started having what I call the cancer perks, which is the seizure. I started having
my
a
gosh.
seizure. Yeah.
Evangeline.
So, I'm telling you, I have cancer perks and I love them because I'm like, if this is the price to pay to stay alive, I'll take them.
That's so great.
But I've had surgeries to take them. At some point in 2011, I went to Mayo Clinic to do the radiation, and then came back to California with my daughters, and it just wasn't working. The treatments weren't working. Nothing was working. I remember one day in the hospital, how I came to find out I was a bleeder is I started hemorrhaging, but we didn't know, because when you're internally, like from the intestine, when you're internally, there's no signs on the outside. And so all of a sudden it's like blood's coming out, from all places. And it's just chunks of blood. And, being at home, I call my doctor and say, I'm bleeding, like it's like clots. And they said, okay, come to the hospital. And I get there and I'm not bleeding. Right. So, and I learned that, when you're internally bleeding, what your body does is it'll spit it all out. And then it stops because then there's nothing there. And then it accumulates again. And then it spits it out again. So I get to the ER and I said, no, something's wrong. You don't understand. There's like there's a lot of blood, and they said, well, you look fine. Your vitals are fine. Everything's fine. So go home, rest. If it happens again, come back. And I remember they said, next time when it happens, take a picture, because words. A picture is, there's 1,000 things that you can figure out in the picture. So I said, I go, okay. So I go home and I'm like a gush of blood is just coming out. And I'm like, well, forget the picture. I'm taking it with me. So I went back to the ER and I said, you can't send me home. I know there's something wrong. I'm not going to make it. And they said, well, we're running tests. We're trying to see what's going on. And they're not seeing anything, because of course, again, the body just like got rid of everything that it pulled. And now it's starting to accumulate again. And they said, go home again, and I said, no, I'm not going home.
Good.
I just had this feeling of like something is wrong. And they said, go home and rest. And we'll call you, on the hour, just check in, Well, when I got up, I passed out. So, that so much blood, I'd lost about 5.5 units of my blood.
Oh my goodness.
And, I learned that day that 12 units is what your body holds or something like that. So I've lost a lot of blood. And,
oh my gosh.
I had to have the transfusion and so on. But that's when I found out, that was the fun.
Oh boy.
Well, I'm not a fan of science in the way, like, I don't care to remember terms. Like, I'm like, just tell me yes, I'm going to make it. No, I'm not, kind of thing. So it's just, for me, it's like, give me the simple stuff. So at the time when they were explaining to me, it was like, oh, that's really great. I learned that you need at least, 12 units of blood in your body.
That's good to know.
That's good to know. That's really good to know. So just treatments, from that. And I was getting my, affairs in order and trying to plan out what am I going to do with the kids. I just gotten divorced and I had full custody of my children, so I could go anywhere with them. And I decided, well, I'm going to take my kids on a 50-state tour, driving across country and end up in Florida to my mom Joy's house. And if I pass, then that's where my kids are going to be, and just plan from there. But I was going to have this ridiculous year with them. I homeschooled my kids as well. So, it was fun, but I think we got to about 17 state and we landed in Texas and never left.
Oh my goodness. I thought you went to all 50. That would have been
we landed
quite
to
a feat.
17.
That's 17. That's a lot.
Yeah. We landed 17 on that trip. We've traveled other places now, but we got to 17 and we came to Texas. I have a cousin here in Texas that, we stay, and then we just never left.
Yeah. Do you go back to the Philippines? Do you go there?
I do.
Too?
I do.
Is your mom still alive? She must be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both of my mothers.
Both moms. Yeah.
Yeah. They're really amazing. My birth mom, Daisy, she's in the Philippines, that she's not, I can't petition for her since I was adopted. So she can't really leave the Philippines unless somebody petitions for her to come to the United States.
And her sister can't do that?
I'm not sure. It takes longer. So, it takes like at least 20 years for her to come out here. And my mom,
gosh, why?
Yeah.
Why?
And my mom, Daisy, has had 2 strokes, right?
Oh my gosh.
So she's handicapped. And then my mom, Joy, of course, is getting older, but it was a tough life, like coming to my adopted parents, right? So my mother is schizophrenic,
Your birth mother or your adopted?
No, my adopted one, Joy. And so, I went from hunger to being beaten and tortured. So it was not, when doctors asked me, does cancer run in your family? I'm like, well, not this one, not the intestine one, because I just, no one's had it at all in our family. But but when I share the stories of how I grew up, they're like, well, okay, maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, you think? Yes.
So,
oh my gosh. Did they give you a certain amount of time that you were going to live?
Yeah. So after doing I had 2 sets of radiation. And after the bleeding, they said, well, we can't operate and we don't know, is there a timeline? Would I heal faster? Stuff like that, right? So we don't know when we can take it up again. And if the cancer is aggressive, the only course that we have is radiation to shrink it and then do chemo to see, how much we can battle this thing. But without removing that thing, we don't know if it's going to be going crazy in there and then spreading, so we just don't know. And we're at a mercy of just the 2 steps, radiation and chemo. And at this time, I think I probably weighed about 95 pounds. I was exhausted.
Yes.
I was exhausted. And I had my 3 daughters. I remember my youngest was 3.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I was exhausted and I thought, I got to take care of these 3. And I can't focus on this anymore. Like there was no energy left. And there's something that I need to do that's different. And so, my question was like probably the traditional question. Well, how much time do I have?
Oh boy.
The most critical question of all time, how much time do I have? And got really present to like, wow, how come I never asked that before?
Interesting.
But I go through life like I have all the time, and so of course the answer is always, well, we don't know and we can't tell you. But again, it depends on how aggressive the cancer is and if it spreads and so on and so on. But if you don't continue treatment, it's going to be worse for you. But like I said, after 2 chemo, I was having seizure almost daily.
Oh my gosh.
So. And I just was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to be with my daughters. So, I said, well, if it was your family member, what would you say? And they're like, well, enjoy your life is what my doctor said. Put your affairs in order and enjoy your life. And I said, well, if you have to give me a timeline, what are we talking about? He says, well, if we don't do anything in a year, you've probably got the best of the year.
Oh my gosh.
Is what they told me. Yeah. And if you do something, we don't know, we don't know what the results are. But at this point, if you stop everything, it would just reverse any progress we had, And I said, no more. I just, at this point, I'm sure, at this point, my calendar was packed with cancer treatments, checkups, doctor's appointments. I mean, it was like, my life revolved around cancer.
Yes.
And I could remember back in the day where my life revolved around taking my kids to basketball or,
right.
taking them to dance or, and somehow it just shifted to like, no, life is now about cancer. And God, I would hear somebody say, oh, somebody's aunts, cousins, uncles did this treatment and it worked. And, the hope that lives in you looks for that. And so at that point, I was willing to try anything. You tell me to fly to, wherever, I would fly to there. If you tell me there was a seed that would cure it, I would do it,
Yeah.
Somebody said, oh, there's this doctor in Utah that does electric treatment, like an alternative medicine. And I was like, oh, I'm going to Utah. Let me go find this doctor, and I got hung up on the alternatives, right? Like, because what was there for me, it's like this hope of one more day, just prolong, I get some more time in. Like, how do I buy time, right?
Mm-hmm. Did you do some of those?
Drinking tea, all kinds of tea, go on a diet, all kinds of diet, cut this out and add this in and so on and so on. And, just listening and just nothing, for me, nothing worked really, like nothing worked until I've decided that enough, and I have to do something else. I met my husband now, when I got here. And he said, I shared this with him on the first night I met him. Hey, I'm dying. I'm not looking to date anybody. I got 3 daughters. I'm taking care of them. I'm living this last year fully. And I'm not looking for a relationship. I have no time for that. So I shared this with him and he said, okay. He said the next day, he said, hey, would you meet with me for a coffee? And of course I met with him and he's like, I've got this book, he's gone to a holistic like retreat. One of the things that I found that was really fun when I was dealing with cancer is when you told people you have cancer, everybody wants to help.
Yes.
And it's wonderful. And, it's really wonderful because you really get the love that others have for you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's overwhelming, because you got to find your space in there somewhere. Right.
Yeah.
So
too much information can be difficult.
And then it's like you go through this for me, I went through the process of like, who do you listen to? Do you not listen to? How much more of everybody's recommendation can I take?
Yeah, right.
And then how much more heartbreak when they don't work, right? And it was overwhelming. So I meet him and he's like, I went to this thing in Florida and that's all they do is they cure cancer and you have to go. And I was like, I'm not sure, at this point I've taken other people's recommendation and I was kind of just over it.
Yeah.
So I said, thank you. I'll read the book. I'll, whatever. And then he says, will you go on a date with me? And I said, absolutely. So I signed up for the Landmark Forum. I said, oh, well, I'll try one more thing. Right. So I signed up for this thing and I get this amazing breakthroughs, okay, good. I'm going to live my life powerfully, enjoy my kids. But this thing, cancer, is still nagging, it's still like, it's here. You can't pretend and avoid, Right. And the word you're dying is still so present, right?
Yes.
So I complete the program and my husband said, you have to do, my then boyfriend or this guy that I just dated, right?
Right.
He says, you have to do this program called the Wisdom Program. He says, this one you'll love. Like, you really have to do this. And so I said, okay, great. The Landmark Forum was 3 days. How long is this thing? And he says, well, it's 9 months. I'm like, I don't have 9 months. By this time, I probably used up 6 of the 1 year that I was assured was going to be fine. So I remember, no, I can't do this I don't have 9 months. And that was just it for me. It was like, I don't have 9 months. And he says, well, do me a favor, talk to the leader, And so I pick up the phone and I'm talking to the leader, the wisdom course leader. And I said, I don't have 9 months. I can't do this program, and she was like angry almost on the other line.
Oh no.
And she says to me, I'll give you an effing refund if you die. And it just it was hilarious. I actually laughed because I was like, you're right. What are you afraid of? I'll give you a refund if you drop dead in the middle of the program, is what she said. I said, oh my God, all right.
Oh,
I got it, And so I signed up for this program, and I don't know, the first weekend, I get more connected with her, and she was dealing with some health issues. It wasn't cancer, but we went to Arkansas Hot Springs, and I remember she took me to church, and we sat on a bench, and she looked at me and she says, "How about we give up this conversation about cancer?" And I believe she was dealing with hepatitis. I believe it was. How about we just give up this conversation and we just live? And she just looked at me. She said, "How about we just live?" And I looked at her and I was like, "Yeah, why not?" Why not? The piece I got to tell you, though, that I forgot is when I signed up for the wisdom course and she said, "I'll give you a refund,"
Right.
I get a welcome call, right? And on the welcome call, they say, "Well, what do you want out of getting this program?" Write down anything you want, anything at all. Like, pretend like you have a genie and you're just going to ask this genie anything you want. And I just remember crying. I just cried and I said, "You cannot give me what I want." Yeah. And it's still,
Yes.
Yeah, I just was like, what I want is time.
Yes.
And there's no program in this world that's going to give me that, So it was offensive, like to ask somebody anything you want,
Yeah.
So I think it took me a while to just say, "I want more time." And this woman said, "Well, how much?"
Oh, geez.
How much time? And I was like, I remember I couldn't even talk. I was so angry. What kind of question is that?
Right.
Infinite? Would that answer it? That's what I had. I was like, this lady surely can't relate, like I was just like in that space, like, why are you asking me stupid questions? How much time do you want? I was like, this is not a game. It's like I was so upset. This is not a game. What do you mean? And I remember she was so happy. I still remember her face. She was so happy. "You can have anything you want," she said, "anything at all." And I was like, "You are crazy. I don't know what this program is about, but it's not it, It's like, trust me, I've tried to, do this, and nothing is a cure, right?" She's like, "Oh, no, we don't cure anything."
Oh.
She's like, "Oh, no, we don't cure anything here. That's not what I'm talking about. But you really can have anything you want."
Oh, my goodness.
And I said, "Well, I want more time." She says, "Well, tell me more about this time." I said, "Well, I want to, create memories with my daughters and, see them grow up, Like, I just had this greedy feeling, right? I'm like, I want it all. I want to see my kids grow up. I want to see them get married. I want to have the experiences. I just wanted it all, And she said, "Great, write it all down." And I did. And
you did,
I did. I took the program, and then we were sitting on that church, and she looked at me and she says, "What about we just give up this conversation called cancer and hepatitis, and we start living, like we just live."
Right.
She said, "I saw that you wanted more time, and it sounds like you want to live." I said, "I sure do."
Yes.
Wow. I sure do. And she says, "Great. Do you want to live today?" "Yes." "How about tomorrow?" "Yes." "Do you want to live fully today?" "Yes, I do. Absolutely." "Well, if you only had today, what do you want to do?" And from that moment on, I've been making this cancer thing wrong. It was the enemy. It was like the devil in a word.
Right.
Right. It was like the biggest pain in my rear, like whatever it was just not a friend. And what I got was, it really got me present to, what do I want?
Yeah.
What do I want this life for? Like, what do I want it for? I wanted memories with my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, time or a day or hour it was always there, like
Yes.
if we think about time, it's always there.
Yes.
And there's not
Mm-hmm.
a sufficient enough time to create experiences, like there's just like experience now. I remember I had all this time and I was too busy to play with them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh boy, I do know what you mean. I did the same thing. Yeah. I was the same way. Yes.
You got wrapped up in life. It was like, oh, I gotta buy the house and I gotta buy this and Mom, I want to play. And I'm like, no, I'm busy making money.
That breaks my heart. I know.
And then there's this thing called cancer that says, hey, you said you wanted, to experience your kids. Here we go.
That's right.
There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go now. Because for me, I stopped. I stopped chasing the bigger house, and I just stopped I gotta have more, and I stopped being busy, because I really got that. Oh my God, what's important to me is my kids.
Yes.
And I've never, with all the time that I had with them, I never got that I had all that time. I just wasted it. Do you know, like, it was like the biggest gift I got. Like, even now, it's like, I've got all this time and I really get present to, did I spend time with my kids today? They're grown now. Right. I remember, at this time, my oldest daughter was 16. And she would just cry, Mom, you got to stay alive till I'm 18 so I can have custody of my sisters.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I'm going to fight, I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. And I remember we celebrated her 18th birthday and we just hugged each other. We just hugged each other. It was like a never going to be, Yeah. And now I make sure I spend time with them, whether it's on the phone, on the Zoom calls, like, that's like, cancer really gifted me with, what do I want to do with my life?
Yes. And
I'm really present to 100 years isn't going to give me that if I'm not present to that. Yeah,
exactly. Every moment, in the moment. Yeah.
In the moment. That's all any one of us has.
Exactly.
Like, really, no kidding.
Yes, really, no kidding. You are.
Yeah.
Yes.
But we get, I got so wrapped up, there's like the one, like, it was unquestionable that I love my children. Unquestionable. But what became questionable was, what did I want to do with that?
Yes.
What did I want to experience about that? Because I could have, I mean, that's what I just really get. Like, I could have 100 years, and if I'm too busy, I never experience them,
Yes.
So to me, it's like, I talk to my daughters and I tell them, thank God for cancer, thank God, because the sadness is really the being like wanting the connection to never end, wanting the connection, but the wake up says, how about now?
Yeah.
You want to do this now? Let's do it.
Yeah. Right.
So I like to say that I'm in remission now. I'm in remission. And I couldn't tell you why I'm in remission, because I never went back and did a treatment. What I can tell you is I have committed, like, every day to be present to what I want for myself in my life. I mean, I work and I work. The only work that I do is that the people that work for us in our company, we use the company as a vessel for people to have what they want out of their lives. And I'm willing to give my time for that. I spend time with my daughters. That's really important to me, that like, I hit my bed every day and go, did you enjoy your day? Because, did you say goodbye? Did you say I love you?
Yes.
Because, waking up is a gift.
Yes.
that I never got present to.
Yeah.
People call me in the morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Wonderful. I woke up. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh.
I just remember too, another piece of it is, I don't know if you know Brian Regnier.
Yes.
Brian Regnier.
I know of him. Yes.
Yeah. So one day I talked to him and I said, Brian, I'm really scared of dying. And this Brian just looks at me with his, I call it his owl eyes, right? He looks at me with, I think, all the wisdom that he got. And he goes, what are you afraid of? You'll never experience your death. I said, what? Tell me that again. He's like, you'll never experience your death. He said, people around you will, they'll be sad. They'll miss you. And life will continue to grow. And, the next generation will show up. And, 100 years later, you're forgotten. But, there'll be an impact. But you will never experience your death. And like he says, have you had surgeries? I said, oh, plenty. He said, great. He said, you've been put to sleep, right? Yes, absolutely. He goes, well, it's the same. You go to sleep. You don't know if you wake up, right? He's like, how do you know you woke up?
Wow.
I said, I don't. Somebody woke me up. I feel like I'm awake,
Yes.
He's like, yeah, you don't know. A lot of people that they go to surgery, they don't wake up.
Yeah.
And how do you know you don't wake up, right? And that just, for me, it was like simple, like it was like black and white.
Yeah.
And so, but from there, I got to look at, well, for the people that are left behind who are going to be sad, what's there to say, right? Like, what's there to give away? So I like to think that I live my life now, like really being with people. I don't know, people will tell you around me, I'm just calm. I drive calm. Like, they're like, if you want to be on a leisure ride to the grocery store, you'll ride with me. I am not in a rush.
Not in a hurry to get anywhere.
No, I'm not. I will take my time. I mean, compared to my husband who likes to zoom through everything, I take my time. I'm serious. I'm like, I'm looking at, like I'm driving. I'm experiencing the driving, right? Yes. So that for me is just, life has altered. And I have, of course, the biggest concern I have, I share my story as much as I can, because I think my story is about what is there for you to experience in life, right? Like what is there for you to experience? And that's what I want to give away. I get concerned sometimes because, when like me, when I would listen to people who was diagnosed with cancer, and then they are in remission. What did you do is what I listened from.
Yes. To get there.
To get there.
Yeah.
That's all that I listened from is what did you do? I want to do exactly that because you made it. You made it out.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And so, but getting the lessons, I have cancer perks and I have cancer lessons. Okay.
Yes.
And to get my cancer lesson is, for me, the ultimate medicine, like to really get that, I had all this time and I never used them to be with my kids. When they said, Mom, let's play, it was like, okay, another hour and I'm done working. I remember Gabriella, I explained time to her when she was younger in movies. I'll tell her I'll be home in one movie, right? And it's a Disney movie is about an hour and 30 minutes, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I used to work all the time. And one day I came home and she said, Mom, can you be here for more than one movie?
Oh.
And it was like, oh my God, how come?
Yeah.
And even when she said that, I felt sad. And it was like, oh, but I gotta work. And then when somebody says you have cancer and you don't have much time, you go, oh, maybe I can cut out that stuff that's not necessary and go do the things that I say is necessary.
Yes.
So I do spend more than one movies with my family now. I work and I live with my husband. I'm like, I love my husband. I wake up every day grateful that I have a husband.
Yes.
And I have a grandbaby.
Oh my gosh. You
Her
do?
name is Gracie, and she is my world.
Oh.
I'm currently dealing with my cancer perks of I did the chemo and it ate the ligaments in my body.
Oh my gosh.
So my knees are bone to bone. And so I'm, doing some treatments. And then, of course, I've got my spine that I'm dealing with and my arms and my elbows. So I can't do exercising and so on because I got to deal with this thing called having bone on bone, right?
Wow.
So with my little granddaughter, I look at her and I go, and she calls me Mahal, which means love. Like who she knows me. I don't think she knows my name. Yeah, she's 3. I don't think she knows anything about me other than I'm her Mahal.
Yeah.
And when she sees me, we're going to have fun,
Right.
So she can't say Mahal. So she says Hal.
Oh.
So she comes to my house and she says, Hal, let's play. And I said, Hal's bones hurt. And she looks at me with this like really intent, like she's trying to understand. She goes, oh, okay, let's go. Okay, like she goes, oh, like, she kind of got the communication. And then it was just like, yeah, okay, your bones hurt, but let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Not sure what she means by that, but let's go.
Yeah, but she's like, I got it. I got your bones hurt, and okay, let's go.
Yeah.
What the meaning isn't attached.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I go.
Oh my gosh.
And I like to think that she feeds me, my experiences. So right. I've just now created, what I want from myself in my life is new experiences, new conversations, and meeting new people, because people are just rich with love and humanity and, and I love people.
Yes. That's wonderful.
So, yeah. Well, when I went, I don't know if I shared with you, I went to an oncologist in Dallas for my knees.
Oh,
right. Did I share that with you?
No.
So my doctor said, well, I see there's a tumor in your left knee.
Oh, you did tell me that.
Yeah.
Is that just recent now?
Like 8 months ago, maybe already.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So she said, well, we got to go get you tested, get the scan and so on. And so I go and I get the scan and it's a tumor, but we got to figure out what kind of tumor. So she's like, I'm going to send you to this specialist. And there's this little tiny Indian guy, and he's probably like 70, maybe older. But I walk into his office and he was so sad, like just so sad. And I looked at him and I was like, are you okay? I'm like, does this still work? Like, should I change my appointment? Because I'm not like, are you okay? And he's like, yes, I'm fine, and no one's usually excited to see me, or nobody looks forward to seeing me. Right. And I was like, okay. He's like, because I'm generally like the bad news guy. I was like, okay, but I'm not dying, right? I was like, so here's how we're going to do this.
You said that to him?
Yes. I don't know what took over my body. When I saw him sad, I was like, oh, no. You got to throw that out the window. Don't bring that in my space. Because I told him, I said, you don't know who I am. I am a miracle maker. And that's not changing today. Okay. Like, no, take that out the door. And he was looking at, you should have seen this guy. He was looking at me. He goes, who are you?
I was going to say, that's probably what he said. Who is this person?
He said, I'm just like, I'm someone that is like, this is an experience. Okay. We're going to have a great conversation and we're going to go from there. But no. I'm not going to die here on your bed, on your watch. So take it all out.
Yeah, that's right.
Take it all out. Send it away. But anyways, I could
Did he ever smile? Did he smile?
Oh, he was laughing. And
oh, good.
Then, so I tell him, I said, what I need is that I need a team that believes that miracles are possible. And if you're not that, you need to go. You just need to go, because I'm just, like, I need a teammate that believes in miracles. And then he said something very interesting. He says, well, my job is to cure cancer, and I got it. You're the guy that goes to work at it. Like his listening was cancer. Like his world, he sleeps, breathes, and eats cancer. Mm-hmm. Like that's his world, right? And I could get that, right? And I said, but I'm causing a miracle that it's not cancer. So this might be our last date. And he dropped on the ground, cracking. He just laughed.
Cancer Talks is an interdependent community project with a production team of 3, and we count on your contributions. We'd like to thank Barbara Young for her generous contribution. If you've learned from or been inspired by these conversations, please consider joining Barbara and becoming a donor. To support us, starting at $5 a month, or to make a larger tax-deductible contribution, visit patreon.com/cancertalks. I'm just so impressed. I think in the original way that impressed means like just sort of a spiritual reaction or response to how you are with the people that work for you and Davide for those companies.
Thank you. Yes, we've got about 80 employees, and I know every single one of them, and I know their family, and they are our family. We do, give them the programs if they choose it, because for me, the program really supported, I guess is the word. I'm not sure. I just have it, there's no word for it, but supported what I had gotten out of having cancer. So why we do this is because I don't want people to have to go through this stuff. Somebody to tell you have cancer, the C word.
Right.
For me, you have cancer. I see this commercial on TV you never forget when somebody told you that. You know where you were, your body sensations, the first thing that popped into your head when somebody said that to you, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So, so for me, somebody said, you have cancer. I'm dying, and there was no possibility for life. It was just like somebody told me, it's the end. It's the end of the road and you got nowhere else to go. And so, and that's not what cancer means.
Yes.
It's so far from that, and that's how it lands for me. It's it's so far from that, but that was what I had.
Yes.
Somebody said you have cancer and it just equaled to death.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And what I got is you have cancer and there's a world of possibilities.
Yes.
I never saw possibilities until that moment.
Yes.
The world of possibility that did not exist for me. And so why we put the people in this program is for them to have access to that doorknob.
Yes,
so
exactly.
First there's a door and there's a knob and you can turn it and you can peek if you'd like.
That's
you can
right.
Walk in.
You can cross the threshold, right?
There's just infinite things you could do. So
yes.
For me, it's just this miraculous place that I was never aware of. And so my commitment is that maybe it doesn't have to be cancer or something else, there's other things that people are dealing with, we got hit with COVID, and it was maybe it doesn't have to be this traumatic, the crucible moments kind of thing.
Right. Yes.
But you could have access to possibility now. And for me, it's what gives me and feeds me aliveness.
Yes.
And I want to be careful because it doesn't give me life I'm cured from and it cures whatever, but it gives me aliveness where I can generate my life and my experiences. Now I can be moved by not feeling well.
Right.
Not being, now I'm having a problem with this, with the joints and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, I got it. It's like, here's another thing. What else do you want to do while you can still move? And I have my crying moments. Don't get me wrong, like, there's the ugly moments of your, by yourself, and you cry. And, I'm like, sometimes I go, I really just don't know. I could live to 100 and I could only be here today. I've seen so many people around me that has passed, and I can be grateful for this moment that I have now.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Listening to your dog bark.
I'm sorry.
Oh no. That's life. You said, I heard you say this, or you said it to me, or you said you started, you were talking about living your life. And when you were in the throes of the whole cancer thing, trying to figure out what to do and doing, putting your feet in water with electricity. I mean, okay, you tried everything. But you said that you, instead of scheduling cancer, like in your calendar, instead of scheduling cancer, you started scheduling life.
Yes.
And I just love the way you said that.
Yeah. My world just stopped revolving around the fight. Even now, when I hear people say fight against cancer, I'm like, oh, we're missing the gift.
Yes.
Because when we're fighting something, we gotta eliminate it somehow, or we gotta make it go away somehow. And I'm one of those, I just have a different maybe understanding or a different look on cancer, where for me, it's like, I don't really believe in eliminating it, right? I think it's there for a purpose, maybe. And I found mine, and I think each one of us that are touched by it will find ours, right? Like you'll find your flavor, and I found mine, and I'm just grateful because I don't take for granted my day. Now I can tell you this, I went through remission, and then there was this moment of like, oh, it's back to normal.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
Yeah. Oh, it's for me, it's getting off the road, like the beaten path. Like, I don't know, know what I mean? Like,
yes.
There's a road for a reason, right? And then I get off track, right? So I get off track, and I get back to, I'm busy.
Oh, interesting. Right.
Yeah. I get back to, I'm busy, and I get back to my calendar of appointments. And I do. I mean, you should see, I've got posted every month. Don't forget, because I noticed that right away. It was like, oh, now that I feel good, I can get back to doing stuff and forgetting that, no, don't forget your lesson. Don't leave it behind.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So, I gotta put reminders, because I tend to lose my track, I tend to lose my path. So I go to California for business, and you better believe it. Hey, my family's on the calendar to come, and we're going to Disney, and my grandbaby's coming, and we're going to go have fun, and we're going to go to the beach. You know what I mean? Like, you can have it all.
Yeah.
I can work, and my life's work, really, my commitment. I grew up in poverty. I grew up in a third world country, in a squatter. Like, I grew up in the squatter, and my mom said, educate yourself and come back and help your people. And for my mother, my people is everybody. It's not our neighborhood. It's help your people. Like, the world is your people.
Yes.
Don't forget to look back where you came from. So I like to think that I do that through business. I like to think that we accomplish that by giving everybody, like I said, the gift that we do. It really is a gift for us that another human being is awake to their life.
Yes.
So, and hopefully we don't need to, we don't have to come across the crucible pieces. We could just have the conversation, and it awakens somebody else to being present too.
Yes.
Well, what's really great, Cheryl, that I just really love is that you really get, like, I really get, I love life.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Like,
oh, come on.
I mean, I come across people that are just miserable, right? Like, I don't know about you. People are honking on the road, like you're just really upset, right? And
right.
So I get honked at a lot because I take my time on the road, right? So
oh, that was you. Okay.
So I'm like, with this experience, it's like, oh, I love my life.
Yes.
That stuff I used to complain and whine about, and the drama about, oh, if only, and if I could, and da. It was like, oh, I love my life. That's why I don't want to lose it.
Yes. right.
How amazing is that to really get grounded and you love your life,
Yes.
So
yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, I actually love my life.
You said when we talked, you said my best life came out of the world of cancer.
Yes.
Life is a miraculous gift.
Yes. Well, I failed a lot, so I discovered how I didn't know how to be a mother.
oh, do you know anybody who knows how to be a mother? I didn't take that class.
It was hilarious. I mean, I share with my kid. It was actually a freeing moment because, through this piece, I was just really alone. I was just I got the divorce. I had my 3 daughters, and I didn't tell anybody. No one knew I had cancer except for my children. Actually, except for my oldest daughter. I actually kept it away from the 2 youngest daughters. So Kara was 3. For me, it's like she didn't need to know.
Yeah.
And then Gabriella was 12. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like she doesn't need to know. And so my oldest daughter got the whole brunt of it because she was helping take care of me and helping with her sisters. So she became co-mom. And it was just the 4 of us. The whole time it was the 4. When I would have a seizure, she would take care of me and put her sisters in the room, put a movie on, and make sure her sister didn't ever get to see me have a seizure. Wow. And the way actually Gabriella, I thought I was really great. Like I said, failures that were everywhere for me. I thought I was really great at hiding it from her. Right. One day she comes into my room and I was in my bed. I just had got done through a seizure moment, right? So I'm resting, and she walks into my room and looks at me and she goes, "You have cancer, right?"
Oh my gosh.
And I looked at her and I was quiet. I was like, "How do you know?" is what came up in my head. Of course, she's not, kids are so intuitive, right? Like they know you're in your bed and you've lost all your weight, and they know that I lost my hair, So I looked at her and I said, "Yes, honey." And she turned around and walked out of the room. And that was all she ever said about it. Wow. That was it. And then she became the helper. Uh-huh. Like for her, it was like, I need to confirm.
And then I can go make a plan.
It was like, like really, and then it was like, so for me, it was like, I got to see where, when I say failure, it's like, I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a game plan for cancer. I didn't have a game plan for raising my children. Like I just was making it up every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And I always say to people, I love when you give me a compliment, like being a master. I'm like, what are you talking about, Cheryl? I just make stuff up.
Well, masters can do that. So,
I'm like, I'm a master of making stuff up. So if you want that world, I can help you out.
That's right. Exactly.
But, and it was a lot. And then it was a lot of, in that moment, I really got like Gabriella's lesson to me was be honest with them. Just be honest. It was like, no need to hide anything. They are such a trooper. The kids, I mean, they are more helpful than anyone I know, because they just let you be, where, a lot of my friends were like, let me help you live and get you the cure, which I love the most too. And the kids just let me be. There was no answer for them,
That's
they
right.
they either didn't know anything more, but other than it was sad,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, there was a lot of sadness, a lot of failures, and the biggest piece of it was a lot of joy,
Yeah.
because I got to be with what I wanted to do, and I wanted to experience.
Exactly.
So
your children are your best medicine, for sure.
It is. And I think too, when I say to people, I don't know what cured me,
Mm-hmm.
but what I can be sure of is that I just started to live.
Mm-hmm.
I just started living. And then my husband did this thing too, that he would sign us up for programs throughout the year. And what was hilarious about his strategy, which I love my husband. I think he's so amazing. His strategy was like, if I had something to do, then I had to stay alive until then.
That's right.
So, so he's like, I'm going to sign you up for the leadership program. That's 6 months. So you got to stay alive for 6 months. And then before the 6 months was over, he would sign me up for something else.
Right, exactly.
And his thing was like, as long as he kept doing that. And all of a sudden my calendar was like all these programs, right?
Right.
And then he would do the vacation programs. And he's like, well, you got to live through that. You don't want to miss Hawaii, do you? So even now he still does it, which I think is cute, So
yes,
I've got a powerhouse of people that loves me,
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and then ultimately, really, I think that's the best gift of cancer, is that you get so present to how much people love you.
Mm-hmm.
The cashier at the grocery store, when they look at you and they don't know what to do, when you're there and you're a hot mess because you're trying to cover your head.
Yeah, right, exactly.
and then they feel sorry, but they don't know, and then some of them will speak and get it all messed up, and all they're left with is like, but you just get their love.
Yes,
you just
right.
get that they just love you and wish you weren't going through it, so for me is it's like getting present to that strangers. It was like, wow, it was so overwhelming that we actually have a world that love each other.
Yeah, that's a good discovery. It really brings out the best in people.
It really does.
Right?
It really does.
Yeah.
So and it's a shared, and then when you meet other people that has gone through cancer, like us talking to each other, it's like, oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Oh, you've had that experience too, What was your lesson? I love it.
I know. Oh my gosh. If you enjoyed this conversation, please leave a review in your podcast app. Cancer Talks is a platform for anyone who has been touched by cancer. If you'd like to be in community with other cancer thrivers seeking personal transformation, join us for free workshops on Zoom. Visit cancertalks.com/Zoom to register. If you're moved to donate, please visit patreon.com/cancertalks.